If you had sent me a good picture, I could save you the trip. And that's when the idea started. Okay, so a lot of doctors, they don't think we're going to replace them, but they think the AI should be better. Like prediction rate should be in the 100%. AI is based on trainable data. If we don't train it enough, it's not going to get better. If you're dealing with healthcare issue, so you have to get it right from the first round, because after
Yeah.
that, it's very hard to get back in and show the data.
Hospitals lose millions on readmissions from surgical site infections. Patients sit at home wondering if that redness is normal. And by the time they reach the ER, it's already escalated. Talal Ali Ahmad, founder of Predictive Healthcare, saw that gap. Once patients leave the hospital, clinicians have almost no visibility into how wounds are healing. His company built My Health Pal, an AI platform that guides patients to capture clinical grade wound images and catches complications before they escalate. But here's what most people miss. The challenge isn't just analyzing the images with AI, it's teaching the patient to take a photo with their phone that a clinician can actually trust. In this episode, we talk about validating MedTech in real workflows, why doctors expect perfect AI from day one, and what founders learn about patients from 18-month hospital sales cycles. Let's get into it. Welcome to the MedAccess AI podcast. And where are you calling in from today?
I'm based in Boston,
It's
Massachusetts.
in Boston. Okay, perfect. Yeah, MedTech hub out there.
Yes,
Yeah,
Bio MedTech. Yes.
MedTech. Yeah, perfect. Well, I just want to. I'm looking forward. I know we've chatted a little bit, so I've learned a little about your journey. But just, I feel like you kind of have a non-traditional entrance into MedTech. Coming from your background. So if you could just speak a little bit about to what you were up to and how you got into this space, and kind of up to the point to where you're at now.
So, thank you for having me today, Chris. It's a pleasure to be on the podcast with you. My career started by training. I'm an engineer, actually, communication engineer with an MBA. I started my career in the telecom world in telecom hosting solution and infrastructure. Most of my career has been part of startup or started my own company. So I started in telecom, left, started my own company in a cloud solution for voice over IP in the mid 2000 time frame. My company got acquired in late 2012, and then I took a time off after that, and I got introduced to an organization called the Global Smile Foundation, where they travel, U.S. surgeon travel to Latin America, Middle East, and Africa. They do the cleft lip and cleft palate surgery, and that's why I got introduced to the medical field. So start traveling with them as an IT and logistic, and hearing them talking about their problem beside the iPhone problem, different problem. And one of the problem was about like the technology available for them to use off the shelf. Everything they have was like it's a medical device. It needs a lot of approval, FDA approval, training in order to use it. One of the projects we started with is remote proctoring for surgeon, where doctor in Boston area can sit and proctor surgery in Ecuador, for example. So we came up with the first solution, which back then was Google Glass came up to the market. So we started using augmented reality to guide surgeon, train other surgeons in different location. And we thought this product can be like for them only, but everybody started saying, hey, I can use this in my hospital, I can train the resident. So that's my first introduction to the medical field. We co-started a company of Proximy, and I exited Proximy in 2022, and I started Predictive Healthcare. I stayed in the medical field because I like it because I'm solving a problem, kind of giving back, but also using my technology background to solve a need. And predictive healthcare came out of a needs too. I mean, it's my son had a surgery a few years back. We brought him home and we called the nurse. A couple of days later, he's in pain. The wound didn't look good, but we called the nurse and said, he's in pain. The wounds look like red. He said, like, how red is it? I said, like, I know one shade of red. It's red. So she said, bring him over. We brought him over. Look at it. Oh, don't worry about it. That's normal. Just keep an antibiotic. If it gets any more complicated, give us a call. 5 days later, it's the same thing. We called the nurse and she's like, well, you need to take him to the emergency room because there's no one available here. So we drove to Boston, sat there for almost 7 hours for the surgeon to come in and look at it. Said like, okay, we're gonna change the antibiotic on him. Everything is okay. And I said, you're here for 2 minutes. I could have send you a picture. He said, if you had sent me a good picture, I could save you the trip. And that's when the idea started. Okay, Everybody has a mobile phone. Everybody's sitting in the emergency room taking picture. Why not use the technology to connect the patient to the doctor? And that's when the idea was predictive healthcare was born. We went to the drawing board. We started looking at technology, and we did, I think, the first prototype in 2021. And the success rate of predicting like redness and complication was about 50%. And that's what we start. Okay, technology can solve this problem, connecting the patient to the doctor and alert the doctor in case there's a elevated risk of complication. And that's what we're doing today is connecting the patient to the doctor, alerting the doctor early enough to with any complication to intervene and address the issue before it becomes more complicated. And the issue for that is, as a patient, I don't want to be in the emergency room for 6 hours for someone to tell me go home and take medication again. And for the hospital, any surgery within the 30 or 45 days time frame, most of them they don't get reimbursed by the insurance company. They eat that cost. So it's win-win situation for both. The patient stays home and the hospital save on unnecessary readmission.
That's a key aspect of it too. I feel like that readmission savings as well.
Yes. And also beside like you go to emergency room, if you're not sick, you're gonna get sick, catch something there too. So
It's
it's a
not the
given.
place that you want to be.
No, exactly. No.
Even in the best hospital. Oh,
Yeah.
that's interesting. You took a different lens approach, like from a technical perspective into this space and then just listened for problems that are out there.
Yeah, I mean, as an engineer, we like to tinker with things. We like to get toys, but I mean, end of the day, you have to do something with it. You can't just like create something and sit and watch it. Like, if you don't put it to use, it's become a toy. It's just something you did, and there's no benefit out of it.
You originally saw it as a problem firsthand, you said, in an experience with your son, but then you said you got a little more insight into it on a mission trip to Ecuador as well?
Correct. So that's part of like a validation of the idea. So start talking to the doctor and say, how do you connect to the patient? And in a Global Smile Foundation mission, usually the doctors in the country for like 7 or 10 days, they do surgery and leave. And they leave it to the local clinic to follow up with the patient. And if there's in case of emergency, they contact the doctor. Well, we in this position ask them, what if we send you a picture early enough to you or to your nurse or nurse practitioner or to the clinic to look at it, say, hey, this picture looked like elevated risk of infection. Would you use it? And they all came back with the same answer technically. If you give me a good picture, I can read what's going on, I can use it. Because we get pictures today, every day from different patients, but either the lighting is wrong or some people forget to take the dressing off the wound, so it's not a good image from me. So that's why we decided from day one to focus first on the image acquisition to make sure the image is good for the doctor to read. And we went back actually to Global Smile Foundation and said, like, hey, this is what we developed. Can you test it for us? And they put it to test in Ecuador and in Salvador and Lebanon.
On that note, you mentioned that's what I'm thinking somebody out there, like an elderly person with their iPhone snapping photos and the quality of that. How did you address the issue of the quality?
So, well, like we said, the image acquisition algorithm was critical for us. So we kind of guided the patient how to take the picture. It's a similar way we do it in the US. When you take a deposit by mobile deposit for check, you say, take it closer, move further. We did exactly the same thing, and we enhancing on this. And I have to admit it, the first time we released the software without the image acquisition, a Global Smile Foundation get a lot of selfies from the patient versus a wound image. So we said, okay, this is a must. We can't joke with this. So we're not here taking selfies. So that's why we start guiding, like, okay, you need to take a picture. We detect the wound, we draw a box around it, and when it turns green, it's time to snap the picture. And that
Ah.
part of that is removing blurriness from the picture, white out, all this kind of stuff. So we're using the algorithm and the phone technology to do this, the image acquisition.
Yeah, I'm glad you got the selfie test out of the
I
way
got
and
the
the
selfie test,
trial
yeah.
phases.
And
That's
and,
good.
and like and the other thing is like it's most of the surgeries, like 90% of the patients are kids, like under the age of 9. So you can see a mom taking the picture with the baby selfie and send it to us. Like, okay, I see the face, but I don't see the wound. So
A key part of this is where the surgery happened.
exactly, exactly.
Okay, so that makes sense. So I see the problem. I mean, in the US, are you seeing that as the same problem? A lot of surgeons aren't getting that feedback. I mean, you had it with your son, but in
Correct.
going out there with it.
So the gold standard in the US, if I go through surgery today, you get a call within 24 hours. Say, hey, Talal, how are you doing today? Everything's okay. Yes. If you happen anything, just give us a call. And the next visit is 10 days. So doctor between day one and day 10, they're blind. They don't know what's going on with the patient. If the wound's recovering okay, there's any issue with the patient, unless I call them or I show up at the office emergency room. So there's disconnect there between the doctor and the patient. So the need to connect, and connecting not just same place in a call, is send me some data, useful data, like wound image, vital signs. All this data will make sense to the clinician. Say, okay, the wound is red, but no fever, no pain, it is okay. But no, if we say the wound is red, but the patient reporting high fever and a pain for the last 24 hours, that's mean something is boiling. So what we started providing the data with some prediction, like saying based on this data, there's an elevated risk. So kind of help the doctor triage their patients. So I have four patients with the elevated risk, or one patient with elevated risk, and four are normal. I'll call the patient with elevated risk first. So instead of start calling everybody and get distracted and then end up the patient with an issue be the last call.
Okay, so you're using some like AI algorithm as well to like detect and then elevate that
Correct. So
if
we,
they're using.
because we're FDA class one based on prediction, we cannot diagnose the wound right now. We say elevated risk or standard risk, and that's what we show the doctor. Elevated risk, and we present the data, the wound image and the vital signs the doctor asked for the patient to submit. And based on that, the doctor look at it and say, okay, we need to address this issue right now.
Okay. And I know we talked a little bit about this before, but what do you find is the biggest like adopter or interest in it in terms of like what type of surgeries and wounds are you feel like?
So from a business perspective, we looked at surgery, which have a high infection rate, high readmission. But from the doctor perspective, any open incision surgery has a high infection rate. So if you go through the list, you can start from like knee replacement, hip replacement. I mean, the infection rate is low, it's about 4%, but the volume is huge. I mean, there's over a million surgery a year in the US. C-section for women, colectomy, collector surgery, thoracic surgery. So these are kind of critical surgeries where like open a big wound receptacle for infection. And then we find out talking to doctor, different location, like in Boston it's cold. So it's okay. But if you go to the south when the weather is hot and humid and you do surgery below the chest, you're sitting all day, you're sweating, something might get affected. The doctor, any open incision surgery is critical for them to know early enough what's going on. Take example, breast reconstruction surgery for cancer patient. Their immune system is low. They do a major surgery, and infection can happen up to, we heard doctors say up to 6 months post surgery. So they need
Well,
continuous monitoring post surgery to make sure the patient is recovering, the wound is recovering, the implant device in the breast is not causing any other issues.
now I'm getting it. Because when we were first talking, I was thinking of mainly the predictability with the AI based on the getting the photos, but just having a solid image, I feel like on some of
Correct.
these and
And the AI,
is
we got to
good.
train the model AI on different surgeries because
Yeah.
like for example, when you have a device implant in the body, I'm not a doctor. There's a big disclaimer. I'm an engineer, but I
Me
hang
neither.
around doctor enough. I can talk a little bit about some stuff we've seen. So when there's a device implanted, there's always bruising, and they consider that at the beginning is okay and start fading out. But in other surgery, if there's no implant and devices, and there's a bruising and the bruising continue, then there's a concern. So we train the AI based on type of surgeries.
Right on.
If like say pacemaker implant, if we see bruising is okay, but if it stays and starts changing color, then we need to alert the doctor. Same thing with the breast reconstruction. It's the same thing. We look at bruising, we look at redness, we look at the wound. So the model is trained by surgery versus like one size fits all.
Where's the solution at now in terms of market? I know you have a clearance in your in the US and from
Yeah.
commercialization. Where are you at now?
About to complete a pilot with the Mass General Boston, Mass General Brigham in Boston, and we're running another one at Top Medical Center. So the product is commercially ready, and we're actively selling the product in the U.S. We did a small kind of what we call the algorithm verification with one of the surgeon at Kaiser Permanente in the West Coast. The way to do it, they want to verify the algorithm works. They gave us pictures and said, detect the problem. They knew that with the problem they before they sent us the picture, and we ran our algorithm against their picture, about 450 pictures, and we were about 80 to 82% accurate on our prediction. So that's kind of proved the product is, and in the same data we're getting from Mass General and Tufts. So the product commercially ready with 82% accuracy rate. We're trying to get close to 90, but that's going to take time because, as you know, AI is about training. The more
Yeah.
data you have, the better it gets.
Yeah. You gotta train the model. You need information to train the
Yeah,
model.
so the product is like commercially ready. We're HIPAA compliant. We have a patent technology on this. We integrate with Epic. We're on
Oh,
Epic showroom today, so we're ready to rock and roll. So
yeah, nice. So the patient accesses this via you have an app. I think I looked at that My Health Pal. Is that what?
So yeah, the product called My Health Pal. We have a mobile app for the patient to take a picture and guide them. Also enter vital signs, and we have a mobile app for the doctor on the go. They get an alert. They can look at their phone, or they can log into the dashboard where they have a more data, more reporting. We integrate with Epic, so there's no data entry on our app and then go to Epic. So we can pull
Yeah.
from Epic, and we can push the result back to Epic too.
I feel like that's key to make it easy. I don't know. There's a
It is.
lot.
It is. I mean, again, we don't want to overburden the clinician with more work. I mean, I always, a philosophy for me is technology has to work for us. We don't have to work for technology. So if I'm going to adding more step to the doctors, yeah, I'm helping one area, but I'm actually making another issue bigger and bigger, which is staff burnout, which is a big issue for hospital right now.
Yeah, it totally is, especially right now. Well, it's good that you have, I feel like the technical acumen part to understand that and the integration aspect
Yeah,
of it. It's such a key part for adoption. I feel like coming
exactly.
early.
And we talk
Um,
to doctors a lot about like usability, user experience. We make sure like when the doctor look at things is like number of clicks. So we give them like 3 clicks to get to the answer. So we don't make them like go through like six different pages in order to get the answer. And that's a key for the doctor is given the data, quick review of the data with not too many clicks and go on to the next thing. So it's always like continuous feedback from the clinician on how to improve the product too.
yeah, that I feel like with technology a little different than medical device. It's nice that you can get feedback as you're actually out in the market.
I mean, we get feedback on the color of the screen. You'd be surprised. So yeah, so and
Sure.
font and like change the font a little bit. I don't like it this way. So you get a lot of different feedback.
Yeah, you can't make everyone happy, but I feel like it's good to get some feedback on it has to people have to enjoy using it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right now we're focusing on the function and the features. The
Yeah.
cosmetic it will come next. Let's focus
Yeah.
on make sure I get you the right data first.
Maybe not a focus at this point in your
Yeah,
commercialization process is the font and
exactly,
color.
exactly.
With building the company, what has been harder than expected?
Going to the medical field, it's they tell you it's a long sales cycle, which it is. I mean, you cannot shorten that. If somebody tell me, "Can you make it 30 days?" I said, "You never worked in the medical field."
I
So
know.
the pain point is the sales cycle, and that based because adoption, regulation, all the stuff. It teaches you to be patient. I mean, if you're not a patient person, that's the right field for you to train yourself to be a patient person. It's it's a sales cycle. It's 12 to 18 months, you like it or not. And that's the pain point because in one hand, the investor want to see adoption, they want to see result. And the other hand is like you cannot move the hospital, the doctor will move any faster. And that's the pain point is like you stuck, you need money to run, but also in order to get the money, you want to show result. And it's been painful journey, especially in this economy. When we started in 2023, 2022, the money was very, very scarce out there. You can get any money. Still, you can get a lot of money now. But if you think about it, 7 years from now, you can get money on an idea prototype. Now is like you have to have the product, you have to have some traction, and some people saying, "I'll buy this," in order maybe to get on a meeting with an investor.
Yeah, it's challenging. It's different in med tech. Like the typical investor model doesn't necessarily fit this space all the time.
And I remember we're software too. We're not
Yeah.
hardware, so there's no FDA 510K. So we mean we can move fast with software, but still adoption rate and closing the deal is still the same, 12 to 18 months.
Yeah, it takes time. And how are you looking at that, like attacking the market in terms of what you're focusing on? I know you could have a widespread application, but hospital versus ambulatory surgery center where a lot of these are done, or how are
Yeah.
you looking at
So we
attacking that?
the surgical center, they're more like a private entity. They
Mhm.
they move a little bit faster
Yeah.
than big hospitals. So we're talking to both. We're talking to hospital and surgical center, but we moved a little bit slow because we want to show the data. We were focusing last year on getting the pilot done so we can get the result out of the pilot. When we go to talk to a hospital or surgical center, is we present the data to them because that's going to speak louder than anything else instead of saying, trust me, it works. Well, we tried it and this is the result. And and the other thing is in any hospital surgical center, when you go sell something, you need a champion inside. You need someone say, yes, I like these tools. I would like to use it. So that's the other thing is we start doing is talking to clinician first before we talk to chief medical officer or CEO of the hospital, the president of the hospital, because you can go there and impress them, but they're going to tell you, okay, we need to find a doctor to use it. Then we go back to ground zero. So what we did is get the doctor excited first. If they're happy, they like it, they can help us sell it inside the hospital. They won't be the one who's signing the contract, but be the one who pushing us and help us to the contract phase.
Yeah, and how are you finding that? I guess with your model, like how are you finding your sales channel within the hospital to get those KOL, those champions that are going to drive the product for you?
So you start with the people you know first, and then you talk to them and they say, hey, and yeah, when they're comfortable with us, you ask them, who else do you think we should talk to in the hospital? They start introduce us to their colleague. Because if you're talking to breast reconstruction surgeons, and like, hey, I can see the general surgery department can use this. I know a guy who's open, or my colleague is open to this. So there's through introduction right now. And this is okay for now because we're still at early stage. We can't afford to have like boots on the ground everywhere. But as we grow, we start like having like a couple few customers, then the word will spread out and it will be easier to talk to doctors.
And do you see that kind of spreading within the hospital that way, focusing on one specialty and then kind of moving into another specialty in the same institution?
It does because you can, again, we said one is not one model fits all because
Yeah.
hand surgery different than orthopedic surgery. We can say, hey, take it and it's going to work. We have to figure out what kind of surgery they do, what kind of incision. If somebody does like laparoscopic surgery, we're not going to push hard for it because the infection rate is very small there. But if somebody does open incision surgery, then we can show them the data, and we work together on training the model based on their need because we collect images and 22 KPI. We call it KPI, I mean like vital signs, body temperature. We ask the patient if they see any discharge, which we can detect later out of AI. But now we're asking the patient to tell us if they're sleeping well. So there's a lot of data we can collect. And each surgery, they have certain data. Like for example, they may say, I'm interested in image only. I don't care about other stuff. Some other surgeons say, no, no, tell me if the patient is in pain, are they sleeping well, eating well, because that's kind of pre-existing condition or pre-existing data I need in order to qualify what I'm getting from the patient. That's why it takes time to understand the surgery, set it up, and train the model for it.
Oh, okay. That makes a lot more sense now. One size truly doesn't fit all. You're
No, it,
customizing.
no, yeah, and
Okay.
the wound is different. I mean, and in general, in the U.S., we're very conservative with the doctor when they make a cut, so their incisions the smallest they can do. But if you go outside the U.S., if you go like Africa and Middle East, we get pictures to train the model from there. For thoracic surgery, you see it in the U.S. like maybe 4 inches, where in India you see this incision from here all the way down. It's a huge incision. That's kind of each doctor has their own way to do surgery, the way they length of the cut. So we have to train the model like to expect what size of the wound to expect.
Oh, even based on geography where they're doing the surgery. It's
Yeah,
interesting.
remember in yes because we have like liability. So the surgeon very concerned. I think my opinion. That's not a medical
Yeah.
opinion. or legal opinion, this liability, the smaller the incision, the less risk of infection. Where outside the US, maybe they don't care about the infection. They care like, let's fix the patient first, and we make sure they don't get infected. I think that's the way it is. But in the US, we notice the wound is are smaller compared to outside the US.
I feel like you're at that inflection point. I see a lot of early stage companies with the sales channel, like looking, at what point do you feel like you look to put boots on the ground?
Yeah.
Or, when do you make that decision, or how do you think about that?
Well, I mean, we're thinking about it right now, to be honest with you, because we're at the point where we need to start making money beside pilots. So we're looking what we call 1099 account trap, which they already have a relationship with a hospital or specific doctor, so they can be also representing our product indirectly. Boot on the ground, it's going to be most likely in an area where there's no 1099 or salespeople available, so we can expand that market ourselves. But definitely, we have to have some boot on the ground at one point.
It's an exciting time to be. You're
Yeah,
ready to get this out there.
exactly.
I guess looking forward, I mean, where do you feel like what would be a dream for you where this is headed the next 3 to 5 years?
So in our industry is acquisition, merger and acquisition is the key. So, but for us, for rebuilding the platform, what we see would like to see ourselves 3 or 5 years from now is we can have our platform the core to bring other digital health application within our platform. So when you go to a hospital, if somebody has a high blood pressure, you don't give them an app just to measure high blood pressure. Or someone has a heart issue, you don't give them another app to heart issue. We're trying to have one platform where we combine all the data from different application and present one holistic view for the doctor saying, okay, this patient has a high blood pressure. We can collect that on the same My Health Pal app. Plus, he went through surgery. This is the data, and AI will make sense of this. So we kind of create the core for all this data coming and present it to the doctor instead of the doctor looking at three different applications when they have a one patient.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of surgeons would be interested in that. There's
Yeah,
so
definitely. I
many
mean,
different apps and places to go to get different pieces of data.
yeah, and the doctor depends on the specialty. They look at one app or two. But if you have one platform give you all the data and have the AI help make sense out of this data, that would be beneficial for the doctor and the patient because the patient entered the data in one place and the doctor will get it in one place also.
Yeah, yeah, I can see that being really helpful. And what's been you've like any pushback or feedback you've seen from from surgeons from hospitals application, like anything that surprised you that you've seen?
Surprise me, yes, they think AI is like it's gonna be move faster. Like we analyzing image and data. So we need to train the model. So a lot of doctors they don't think we're gonna replace them, but they think the AI should be better. Like prediction rate should be in the 100%. Again, it's gonna take a lot of data. So my surprise is like they're expecting a lot from AI at early stages, and we're trying to set the expectation. Listen, this is AI is based on trainable data. If we don't train it enough, it's not gonna get better. So yes, we'll be 90%, we'll be 95%, but not today. Maybe a year from now, it will get there.
Yeah, I get see that a lot. It's just the expectation for what AI can do, like tomorrow that this is gonna fix something.
Yeah,
You have to train this first before
you
it's
have,
gonna be of value.
especially you have a lot of data. You have to tell the AI what to do with the data, what that means. I mean, it takes time. Like when we said, bruising versus no bruising on different surgeries. So all this is going to take time. Yes, we'll get better as we train the model, but it's not going to be overnight. I mean,
And
we
now for
trained the
your
model
model,
over 10,000 images. So, I mean, we're not a lot, but it's a good number of images. But we need a lot more to get to like near 90% or 95%.
so with your model, is it all only from images that are used within the platform? Are you able to train it on all like get image access to other images that you can use to train the model as well?
Yeah, so we can go like what we call public library where they have images of surgery. We can train that the model base, and we have our own chief medical officer help us diagnostic the image, and there's outside company they can do the same thing for us. Get the image with the what we call index, like what's the issue with the wound, and we can train the model. So right now we're focusing on the image. Next step is taking the patient medical history and the image. If someone is diabetes and we show the image if it's redness, it's for a healthy person is okay, but someone with diabetes might be different risk in there.
Yeah, lots of different components involved within training yours. I can see the
Yeah.
complexity there.
Yeah. So right
Yeah, it
now we
takes
focus
time.
on the image because the image is critical for the patient, for the doctors. I like, show me the image. I'm okay with the image right now. As we get comfortable, we go to the next step.
Perfect. And then in close, any insights that you have to offer? Any other founders starting out in the med tech, the medical space?
I mean, I would say be patient. Sales
Good.
cycle, it is what it is. Don't try to force it. I mean, even if the doctor tell you, "Oh, we can do this in 30 days." I mean, there's a lot of stuff happen between the doctors saying yes to implement it. So if you start in the medical field, be patient, sales cycle the same, and the product has to have the right feature to help the doctor. You cannot like present the product does not solve a problem right from day one. So it has to be like from the day one solve a problem, and the doctor can use it and get the outcome out of it. It's different than the old days when you do MVP or prototype. People play with it, say, okay, I can see where this is going. With doctors, you cannot do that. You're dealing with healthcare issue, so you have to get it right from the first round. Because after
Yeah.
that, it's very hard to get back in and show the data.
Yeah, I think that be patient. Yeah, this sales cycle, if you're from the outside, is not is not the same. It's
Yeah, I
not
mean,
like in
I
tech.
talked to an investor and he said, "Oh, can you cut it down to 60 days?" It's like, if I can cut it down 60 days, I'll be making millions of dollars today. So I'll be the first and I can teach that to everybody. I mean, there's always exception to the rules. Some hospitals move faster than the others,
Yeah.
but you can't, I mean, by the time they say yes, contract, IT get involved, integration, in all the stuff mapped out to start making money, it is going to take 18 months.
Yeah. It takes time. Be
Yeah.
patient and solve a problem. That's also
It
key.
does. It does. I mean,
Yeah.
if you're solving the problem, we'll get there. If you're selling what we call toys or nice to have, it's not gonna sell.
Yeah, I feel like that's a key part of your journey. You started with you noticed a problem
Yeah,
and investigated it, brought in your outside acumen with engineering and
yeah.
solved a problem. And now here we are. So I'm excited to see where this goes and what's next for My Health Pal and out there in the market.
It's gonna be exciting time. We're looking. I mean, we're excited about it, and hopefully, and we know we're gonna get somewhere.
Yeah. Excited to follow the journey. Thanks so much for being on the podcast today. I appreciate it. Appreciate your
Thank
time.
you, Chris. Thank you.
You've been listening to Stories in Life Sciences, sponsored by MedAccess AI, where we explore people, ideas, and breakthroughs shaping the future of biotech and healthcare innovation. To learn more, visit medaccessai.org and subscribe on YouTube to watch the full conversations and new episodes as they launch. I'm Christopher Wilson. Thanks for joining us. Until next time, keep shaping the future one story at a time.